Hi guys, this is Matt from TechKnowHow Technologies. Today we're going to be taking a look at Active Directory domain services. And this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while. This is pretty high level, but some people out there may want this. As I go through the videos, it's going to get more complicated and build on the previous videos. This is going to be installing Active Directory domain services on Windows Server 2019. We're going to do this through the graphical user interface. The next video we'll do is installing these services on a core server through Windows PowerShell. So we are just waiting for this server to restart. This is a fresh install, nothing's been done with it. And once it comes up, we will go ahead and get going and get it installed. And just a brief background, Active Directory domain services is utilized and used for managing identities and permissions and authorizations within enterprise environment. It's very useful for handing out permissions to stuff and sorry, just working on getting this a little bit better centered here. I don't want this kind of to be cut off too much in the video, so and I think if we just like that. That should be a little bit better. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Active Directory domain services utilizes accounts and groups to give permissions and authentication to your environment. It's used very widely through different organizations. It makes administrative of objects much easier from a centralized location versus like your home computer has work groups. Each account is local to that computer. Imagine if you had 200 employees, 15 to 20 of them couldn't remember their passwords, but you got to go out to each computer to reset it, or you have to go out to each computer to add the account. You don't want that. Let's see. One second here, guys. It's kind of a pain to when you're doing it through a web browser like this. I'm trying to send Control Alt Delete. And there it goes. Alright, we got to move this back over here. And we will go ahead and center this back in just like that. Alright, we are about to log in to a fresh 2019 Windows server. So we'll go ahead and get logged in. Now, I'm not going to install the VMware tools because this is running in VMware on my ESXi server. I'm not going to install that for this. I'm just going to go through it really quick, and then maybe later we'll go into more ESXi stuff with installing the VMware tools and such in the actual VM to get full screen and things like that. I just wanted to kind of get this done and out of the way. It may be running slower because I only have 4 gigs or so of RAM thrown at it with a couple processors, but it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so the first thing, you know, when it first boots up, do you want to allow your PC to be discoverable by other PCs and devices on the network? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. That's network discovery. In organizational environment for security purposes, you're probably going to want to disable that and not have it discoverable. But we can go into that in another video based on security. So what I do is I actually manage digital identities for a company, and that's why I feel this video is pretty important getting started with Active Directory domain services. And getting your identities in a centralized location to manage it and manage your authentication and authorization within different applications. So the first thing that pops up, and this auto starts up when a Windows server starts, this is called Server Manager Dashboard. This is where going to be the bulk of your work is going to be done. And you can see right now it's currently thinking, that's why we can't really do much with it quite yet, but configure this local server, add roles and features, add other servers to manage. First thing we're going to do is we're actually going to change the name of this server, because since it's a fresh install, it just generated a generic computer name, and you don't want just any computer name on here. You're going to want to name it something. You should have a naming standard for your servers and your workstations and things like that. And once you set up the domain services on the server, you're not going to be able to change the name of it, because that's going to be embedded in the root of the domain. So we'll go ahead and click change, and let's just call this lab 1 DC for our first lab server domain controller. So go ahead and click OK. Now this is going to make me restart it. We'll go ahead and close. We'll go ahead and restart it right now. And so Active Directory actually relies pretty heavily on DNS to resolve host names and such. So when people go to log in a computer, their account's located in the schema for Active Directory. It requests access for you to get into a computer, and it sends a token back to the local PC saying, yes, this person's authorized, and those computers have to be members of the domain. So then you can now manage the computers within the domain as well. And the good thing about that is group policy. Group policy is doing security and other configuration settings within your environment for your local PCs and your domain policies. For instance, what's available in the start menu, what you want your wallpapers to be. There's all different kinds of things that you can administer. Delegation of access to different areas of Active Directory for different people to be able to manage it. So I just gotta, let's see. Okay. Right, now we're gonna go ahead and get logged in here. Now we just got done changing the name of the server, and once this comes up, we will go ahead and start adding the roles for Active Directory domain services. And then I'll give you a quick overview of Active Directory from a very high level until we build more on this knowledge. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that know exactly how to do this, and this is very basic. Don't get me wrong. I just want to make sure that the knowledge is out there for people that don't know how to do this, and start from the beginning and go through it step by step for them to start understanding it so they can work their way to more advanced stuff. That is my goal, and it will continue to be my goal. One of my main goals of these videos is free education and getting the information out there, not only about open source software, open source operating systems, new technologies, engineering stuff, all the different operating systems, how to test, how to configure, how to set simple stuff up, home theater stuff. I believe the knowledge that's really big in my book. So we're going to go ahead and continue. This is almost done loading up. See, if you click on it too soon, Server Manager is collecting inventory data. The wizard will be available after the data collection finishes. So we'll just let it finish doing its thing here. You can see this progress, not really a progress bar, but thinking bar. It's still kind of thinking. It looks like it loaded everything else, so we're going to go ahead and try. So we're going to click on add roles and features, and you're going to get taken to before you begin page. Just kind of read through this stuff. Go ahead and click next. Installation. Select the installation type. You can install roles and features on a running physical computer or virtual machine, or on an offline virtual hard disk. So we're going to go with the role-based or feature-based installation. Remote desktop service installation, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the top option. And here, if you had multiple servers set up inside of your server manager, because you can set up multiple servers to administer them from one desktop. You can even install the server manager on Windows 10 client and start managing all of your servers right from a desktop. So you don't have to be logged into the server. They could be core additions and then use this to manage it. There's a lot of different things that we can get into. But we only have one listed in there, so we're going to go ahead and click Next. And here's where we're going to select the service. Active Directory Domain Services. We're going to click Add Features. Let it think. Click Next. And we're going to go ahead and click Next again. And then we're going to click Install. And I will go ahead and pause the video and we'll return when this is done. Alright guys, we are back, and the installation of Active Directory Domain Services finished. It installed the group policy, remote server administration tools, role administration tools, ADDS and ADLDS tools, Active Directory module for Windows PowerShell, and some other stuff for snap-ins and command line tools in the Active Directory Administrative Center. So we're going to go ahead and click Closed, and we see it on the left-hand side over here in the navigation pane, but we are not done yet. We now have an action item in the notification area to do. Post-deployment configuration. Promote this server to a domain controller. So it's not a domain controller yet, just all the services have been installed. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And here you're going to have a number of selections. Select the deployment operation. Add a domain controller to an existing domain. Add a new domain controller to an existing forest, or add a new forest. Since this is the first one that we're going to be doing, we're going to do add a new forest. And here is going to be the name of your domain. Like, say you have company ABC. You would want to do abc.local or abc.com. We'll just do labdev.local. And go ahead and click Next. Alright, here is your forest functional level and domain functional levels. These are if you have other servers, domain controllers in your environment that are of lower editions, earlier editions. You're going to want to set it to the lower edition so that they're compatible, but you always want to set these as high as possible to get all the features as you can. And alright, so we're going to leave it at server 2016, and we're going to set this DR password for disaster recovery and removal of these services. Go ahead and click Next. Go ahead and click Yes or Next. Now, most servers you're going to want to set a static IP address. I left mine as a dynamic because it doesn't really matter. I'm probably just going to blow this server away when I'm done with this video, or done doing the learning environment for these different videos. So I left it right now as a dynamic IP address. Go ahead and click Next again. And these are the paths for all the sysfile folder, the log files folder, and the database folder. Go ahead and click Next. Review your options. They look good to me. They'll run our prerequisites. Check. Once everything passes, you can click Install. And then it'll automatically reboot the server for you because it does need to do a reboot. So looks like we passed everything successful. So we'll go ahead and click Install. And I am not going to make you guys sit here and watch this entire thing go through. So I will go ahead and pause it, and we will return once the reboot is done, and we'll get a quick walkthrough of some of the different tools within Active Directory. Alright guys, and we're back. The promotion of the Active Directory domain controller. And it has rebooted, and we are just about fully logged back in here. Just waiting for Server Manager to get started and open up. And then we'll go ahead and do the small tour. Should only take a few minutes here. Now, just to touch base on some upcoming videos. I'm going to go further in Active Directory with one. I'm going to go into some PowerShell stuff with Active Directory and some basic PowerShell. And then we'll do some command line stuff and then some basic functions for scripting with PowerShell and some functions and scripting within Linux environment and some terminal background. And then we're going to do some more on home theater stuff, the smart home, hooking up different stuff like Hue lamps into your Alexa and security cameras and best practices along that line. Remember, I do pretty much anything that's science and technology related. I just major into computer science and networking stuff. So go ahead and like and subscribe, please, and more videos will be coming that I think everyone will find interesting. Alright, so we're going to go to Tools. First place we are going to go is Users and Computers, also known as ADUC, Active Directory Users and Computers. In here is where we are going to be doing most of the management of identities. So there's the domain. Now these are built in, they're called organizational units. These are the default ones. This is defaults where your users are going to be placed. So I can just quickly run through how to create a new user. You go to new, come all the way down here to user, and then we're just going to type in like John Doe, and maybe we're do his username that he logs into the computer with is jdoe, and we'll go ahead and click next. We'll create a temporary password for him, and see it is checked for him to user must change password at next logon. We'll click next, click finish, and there he is. From within here, this is where you can add like a description to the account, like this is a user account. Now if John Doe decided to go to a computer that was on the network and connected to his domain, he would take out of this account tab and log in with jdoe and use that password I gave him. Now member of, this is where you add groups for different permissions. Now by default, the groups are lined in by the users, which I don't think is very clean and it's not very organized. That's why you should be creating new organizational units based on departments and different functionality. Like you have one for service accounts, one for regular accounts, one for admin accounts, one for groups and different types of groups. And then you can set all your permissions to those organizational units by group policy. But I'll just show you an example of adding it. So we'll add them to admin's group, the administrators group. Click OK, click apply, click OK. Alright, now one thing I want to do is actually show you guys how to create an organizational unit. So we'll come right here, we're going to put in like let's do lab dev users, click OK. So now we have a new OU where we can move our users to. So to move a user, you just select it, right click, choose move, and select the OU, click OK. Alright, quickly how to create a group. We'll go to new. Whoops, that is not what I wanted. We'll go to new group, type in the name of the group, like say we have IT staff, and I'll do a video more on going more into depth on the group scope and group type. Distribution is for carrying mail, and it's more when you have Exchange in your environment. For anything with permissions, you have to select security. So then click OK. Here's the new group. This is what it would look like. We could put a description in here. You could come into the group and add members like, there we go. So I guess I should clarify on how I did that. So I started typing a name, I hit tab to check names, and it found it. Click OK, click apply, click OK. So now that new user we created is now a member of that group. You come into here, and if you went into member of, you would see that IT staff group listed down there. Alright, so this is where your computers would land once you start adding them. And I'm actually going to move on to some other tools within here and then wrap it up. So we're going to go into sites and services. This is where you're going to configure your different sites for different geographical locations and different subnets within those locations. Here's your subnets and inter-site transports. Here's the server. If you actually right click on this, this is where you see that it's a global catalog right there, and I can go in another video on more what global catalogs are. But this is a useful console as well. And then domains and trusts. This is where you can set up trust relationships with other domains and stuff. It's actually or you can, this is also where you go to raise the domain functionality and stuff. So that about wraps up this video. Please let me know any comments below. Please like the video and please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching and